You're listening to SoFloRadio.com. SoFloRadio.com presents CEOmanship, becoming a leader in today's business world. With your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit us at GordonPartnership.com. The Gordon Partnership Group. Your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
It's another Monday, and we are here. George, my producer, just lost a bet, $1. I just watched it slide across the table. I'm not exactly sure what the bet was, but I am Steve Gordon, and I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group. Welcome, everybody. To my left, to your right, watching on the video feed, is George Rodriguez. George, happy birthday. You turned 50.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, we Saturday, right?
Yes, it was.
So, yes, happy birthday. And
St. Nicholas'
more.
actual birthday, Saint's Day, for all you Catholic-minded people.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I also should say, to my right, all the way to my right, is Mark Anoff. Mark is our social media expert. For those watching on the live video stream, you can actually see Mark. He's typically posting, tweeting, Facebooking, LinkedIn. And if you would like to connect with Mark during the show live, you can tweet him at Mark Anoff. That's at the @ MarkAnoff. And so if you have a question, a comment, a thought, please tweet Mark during the show. And my guest to my direct right is Lori Gordon, the founder of Simply Lori Gordon, certified holistic health coach, graduate of the prestigious Institute for Integrative Nutrition. Welcome back, Lori. You were here last week. It's good to have you again.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, last week, Lori spoke in detail about the reasons behind and the risks associated with cosmetic surgery, especially breast augmentation. And Lori, we had an amazing feedback from our guests, and a lot of folks wanted more information from you, and not just on surgery, but on health tips as we go into the new year.
It was exciting to see all those comments come in and questions and remarks. It was really, really fun. Well,
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we're going to address those issues. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, CEOmanship is the radio show for business owners and CEOs. And if you're a business owner or you're a CEO and you'd like to be featured on CEOmanship, you can contact me directly at steve@Gordon, Gordon, partnership.com. Also, don't forget, after the show, you can visit CEOmanship to download a copy of today's episode or to watch or listen to past episodes in our archive section. And, of course, if you would like to make sure that you never miss a future episode, we are in the iTunes podcast library under the term CEOmanship. Just hit that button, subscribe, and that way each week our show will be delivered right into your pod, as they say. And I like podcasts personally because it gives us an opportunity to listen on our leisure. We do get people who ask all the time, how can we get folks from Gordon Partnership to come talk to our staff or our company? And again, if you just go to GordonPartnership.com and fill out the Contact Us button, we can talk to you about how to come in and do some sales training or speak to groups one-on-one, train the CEOs, etc. And of course, please visit GordonPartnership.com after the show. On Facebook, Gordon Partnership, Instagram, Gordon Partnership, Twitter, follow Steve Gord, LinkedIn, just search for Steve Gordon and Gordon Partnership. And again, CEOmanship and the iTunes podcast library. So today's show is sponsored by the Smart Homeowners Program. Lori, I'll ask you this week.
Okay.
So imagine you own a home, and at some point you think maybe I'm going to sell that home, right?
At some point.
And so it would make sense that if you're going to use a real estate professional, that you choose a broker from your local community, correct?
I definitely would.
So what the smart folks at the Smart Homeowners Program did is they put together a program where they built the world's, or certainly one of the largest, I should say, broker-to-broker networks in the country. And what that means is this. They say to you, Lori, if and when you decide to sell your home, if you'll just pick a broker from our network, which is pretty much every broker in your county, you're in Palm Beach County, right? Right, so you'll pick a broker from, I mean, why would you go to a broker from Tampa? I mean, they don't have any clients that would buy your home, right? Probably.
Right.
So they say to you, based on the value of your home, if you sign up for their network at the smarthomeownersprogram.org, that's smarthomeownersprogram.org, and it's no cost to you to join, and you just, at some point, if and when you sell your home, you just pick a broker from their network, they will pay you today over the next 3 to 5 years, somewhere between $300 and up to $10,000. It's like getting a birthday gift every year for the next 3 to 5 years with your name on it.
How is that paid out, and how do you determine whether you get 300 or anything in between?
That's a great question. It's paid out in gift cards. It could be an Amex card or a Visa card. I guess I can use those names, or other gift cards, and it's all explained on the website when you sign up. And all you have to do is put your name and your address and the type of home, single family, who owns it, etc. And then the determining factor for how much you receive is based upon the value of your home today. So it's all explained right there. It takes about 3 minutes to sign up, and then you're done. And you'll start getting the money, every year for the next 3 to 5 years.
Sounds like a great program.
It is a great program, and I can tell you that every single week we have folks from this show signing up because we get notification from the company, and they're real pleased, and they're pleased to send that money out to all of you. So please take advantage of that, and go tell your friends. Speaking of which, I want to tell you that the majority of our audience, Lori, as you know, are CEOs, they're business owners, they're upper management, and they're all very, very busy people, and often, I would say, high-stress people. Mm-hmm. Even I, married to you, a certified holistic health coach, I sometimes forget to put myself first. Just last week I was traveling up north, as you know, and I was working about 12-hour days with a client of ours, and, definitely making some of the wrong food choices. I wasn't exercising, and I know I'm not alone because our audience is all people just like myself and yourself who are busy people on the go. So as the holistic health coach and somebody who took a passion and turned it into a business, I see that you've provided me with a list of what you call your top 10 anti-age, stay young, feel great for the rest of your life tips.
Exactly.
So inspire me on how I can be healthy in the year 2015 and, continue to live a long, healthy, vibrant life.
Well, I'd be happy to. We're going to go through a list of 10 things today, and these are my top 10. And if you want to take notes, I encourage you, if you're listening, to take notes. This is going to give you at least a starting 10 lists of things that you can do to feel better in the new year. And this is the time of year where people are thinking about better health, joining a gym, changing their lifestyle a little bit, maybe changing their eating habits. But so let's go through the list. And one of the things that I want to talk about, and I think number one, when you talk about traveling and high stress and being the CEO of a corporation or running a small business or running a large business, it doesn't matter. Getting to work is stressful, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of people have something called hypertension, and that's number one on our list today.
And what is hypertension?
Hypertension is basically when your body is running really, really fast. What happens is it's like a fire hydrant hitting your artery walls. And imagine the blast of a fire hydrant breaking down, a wall. If I went over to that wall and I started scratching away at it, that would be the effect of, high-powered water hitting it and wearing it down. So what happens is with high blood pressure, your body can no longer run at that speed or that pace, and it becomes very unhealthy. There are a lot of things that can go wrong.
I can tell you, running through airports, sitting in traffic, knowing I've got a meeting with a client. I mean, I think that everybody listening has had those moments where you feel like your body is pulsing, to the point of like you almost want to pop out of your skin.
Right.
Is
that's
that what you're
when
referring to?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of those moments where you have to be aware of the stress that's around you. Stop, take a minute, breathe. Don't breathe once. You really want to breathe several times. I say 10 times. And for some people, that might sound strange. But if you do a little exercise that I've done with some of my clients, Steve, which is if you stood very tense with your arms by your side and just got very stiff and got stiffer and stiffer, you would start to feel very uncomfortable. That's what you're doing to your body at that moment when you have hypertension kicking in.
Just that tense.
That tenseness. But then if all of a sudden the breathing I would compare to, moving your arms, moving and breathing and moving your neck around and just starting to feel that movement releasing the stress. If you do that, and I know you're running through airports.
I know Mark is sitting here looking at us thinking I should probably stand up and do this. And it would be okay if you wanted to.
You don't have to stand up. You can do it in your chair. No, but I believe in the breathing technique. I talk to a lot of people that are always in stress and recommend that they sit and take a few breaths. I don't say 10, 3 or 4 might be enough to really help to calm them down.
And you want to do it the right way. You definitely want to breathe in for 5 and then breathe out for 5. So if you breathe in all the way and then breathe out and become very aware of your breath, it's something that people have been talking about for a long time. But it's something that absolutely works. So if we go back to that scenario of being
George,
very
stop
tense.
holding your breath in.
I have a problem remembering to breathe. I know how important it is. I do yoga and everything, and I always wait until I'm out of breath, whether I'm skating or running or anything. I always wait until I'm out of breath to start the breathing that I ought to be doing from the very beginning. And then just like you said, sitting, resting, driving, you should really be aware of your breathing until it becomes second nature, and it's something I'm working on still. I forget.
There are a lot of breathing apps. It sounds kind of crazy and out there, but there are breathing apps where you can go through breathing exercises. It's amazing. Anyway, which way would you rather be? Tense the way that we described, or, moving your arms and stretching? Even just stretching feels good.
I don't want to give away too many family secrets, but there are plenty of times when we'll be involved in something, or I'll be running between maybe 2 projects, and you'll look at me and say, Steve,
slow down,
breathe in a very calm. Because, George, you're absolutely right. It sounds so silly. We don't actually forget to breathe, but we forget how to breathe.
You don't think to breathe the way that you ought to.
Right.
It's not just your breath shouldn't be reactive to what's going on. And it does. It'll catch up with you eventually, but you can avoid the fatigue and the poor health by breathing the way that you ought to. The
breathing is actually going to give your body more oxygen, and that's what's happening. So if you're putting more oxygen in your body, they have these oxygen centers in alternative medicine and functional medicine offices. You can go in and get oxygen put on you. Steve,
we actually did that.
Steve, you told me a story when I first met you about a trip that you took through an airport in California many years ago where you went to an oxygen therapy.
Oxygen bar.
Right.
And they literally took a mask and they put it on my face, and they took pure oxygen and they filtered it through liquid, probably water.
And where was that?
It was actually in Las Vegas. So it was a connection.
Was it in the airport?
It was in the airport.
Amazing.
Right? Think about it, right? But you know what? I told you back then, it was one of the greatest. It was 15 minutes, and you if you breathe pure oxygen for 15 minutes, it's amazing.
It's so sad because the only time you think of somebody breathing in oxygen is when
they're on the end of their life.
Right, in a hospital. But the truth is, we need it, and it's going to make you feel better. So if you can't get the oxygen tank, do the breathing while you're driving.
It's important because some of our listeners may be thinking, well, this is a show for business people and CEOs, and why are we talking about breathing? But the reality is this. If you own a corporation and you are running that corporation, you need to be a fine-tuned machine. You need to be, like, if you own a Ferrari or a Maserati or a BMW or a Porsche, you'll take it to the dealer if it's just hiccuping. And you need your body to run as finely tuned as your automobile, or you're not going to be making the best decisions as a business owner or as a sales professional or anybody in business. So all of these tips are really, really important to allow our listeners to live their life and to make the best decisions and to function at the top of their game.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And you know what? When you take care of your health, the way that you take care of your business, if you're, very strong in that area, if you care about what you do and you have a lot of integrity, then, it's sort of this cascading effect in your life. Your business runs well, your personal life runs well, your health runs well, you're happy. It's this constant cycle of good stuff.
Yeah, but I think, a lot of people, especially sort of very type A professionals, fall into the category where they put themselves maybe second.
And we're going to talk about that.
All right, so it's a little teaser.
We're going to talk about that.
Well, good. So, in addition to speaking to you earlier in the show, I was telling you I was stressed out on the last trip. I had to run between clients. I had flights. The weather was not so great.
Right, right.
And the other thing is, I was telling you, when I'm with this client, I eat when they eat. Now, they forget that I get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning and I'm flying. And so all of a sudden it's 3 o'clock. Now we eat, but it's not. So, and then I'm thinking, okay, what about dinner? And I'm all off. And the right choices. We order lunch in client, and it's I would eat, for example, if you were making dinner at home or we were going out. So what about, we're going to talk about food, but there's another part of our diet that I know you talk about all the time as being the primary source.
Yeah, I want to answer that question or even just talk about that thought for a second in two parts. The first part is to answer your question regarding running through the airport, traveling, how to make things easier, how to plan. I mean, that's really the key word. You have to plan. People plan where they're going to spend their paycheck. They know exactly what they're going to buy at the end of the week. They know exactly where that money's going to go. But people don't plan every day on what they're going to put in their body. And I think that that's really, really important. I know it's really important. So I think about what I'm going to eat. I think about what we are going to eat for the week. And when you're traveling, there have been times where I will wake up in the morning and pack a bag for you and make sure that you have the things that you need. So I was stressing out last week, Steve, when I knew that you didn't have what you needed and you didn't have your immune support vitamins that we always take, especially during cold and flu season. I tried to get you something that compared to it, but struck out. So it's important to plan. If you know you're going to be on the road, if you know you're going to be on the tarmac, in an airport, in places where you're confined, there aren't any windows that open, there are lots of germs. I call it, a petri dish, basically. You want to take lots of vitamin C, zinc, echinacea before you travel. I mean, really load up.
Yeah, I'm really diligent about that, as you know. And last week, we had a situation where I called you at the beginning of the week, and I said, wow, the first day I was traveling, I said, I feel like I'm right on the edge of getting a cold. And you immediately...
I think I started having sympathy symptoms because both of our noses, we both had the same nostril that was kind of running. It was amazing. I said, well, my right one is running a little bit today. And you said, that's funny. That was the one that was running yesterday for me.
Well, it's true, but you also... Wow. So here's the other thing. You immediately texted me the name of a couple of things to get, and you said, please go to a local health food store or vitamin store.
Right.
Even though I happen to have a particular brand that I like and I typically travel with, you were like, please go get these things. And I did. In fact, I texted you pictures just to prove it.
And you responded by saying, yes, coach.
Yes,
I will.
coach.
Which was great. So, those are some of the things that you want to do when you're traveling. And, businessmen, businesswomen are so busy thinking about other things. They're not really thinking about themselves. I want to say that, we think about the gas we're going to put in our car. We think about the oil changes in our car. Most of us have those stickers. We know exactly when we need to change the oil. But people aren't thinking about the oil that they put in their body or the gas that they put in their body. And I hope that this show is going to raise some awareness and get people to start thinking about, maybe in this new year, a healthier you, a better you, a more vibrant you.
Well, we talk about planning, and they say that the average person spends far more time planning their next vacation than taking care of their own health.
It doesn't shock me. I mean, we kind of go through life on a treadmill, and I know I don't anymore, and I know you don't anymore. And when we have a great moment or a moment where we've achieved something, I take a step back and say, I want to remind you where we were 6 months ago, or just look at a time frame in your life, which I always do with my clients. We look at a decade, and if you look at a decade of what you've accomplished in your life or what you've been through and where you're at now, you'll realize that, you do get a lot done.
It is true. And you are very good at bringing me into the moment. And I think I'm sort of Uber type A in that way. I'm always going and thinking about what's my next client, who do I have to call, what do I have to do. And even just last night, we were somewhere, or this morning we were taking a walk actually. And you said, just let's stop for 30 seconds and think about where we were 6 months ago and where we are today. In our lives and what we've accomplished in even the last 7 days, which was some pretty big things in our life, and all positive. And it's true. I think that when you fuel your body with positive reinforcement, That all fuels everything because that kicks in the endorphins and, all that good stuff.
True. I mean, I like to look at my life as a timeline. I like to look at my clients' lives as a timeline and help them to realize some of the milestones and some of the really great things that have happened. So we just discussed number 2 and number 3, a proper primary food diet, which are non-food sources. It's something that we talk about. It's something that I trained on over and over again. So primary foods in my business, when I talk to people, are the non-food sources, your relationships, exercise, how you take care of yourself, but not putting food in your body. The secondary form of food is food.
So the primary food would be those things that feed you as a human being.
That's right.
But don't feed you food.
That's right. I mean, if you look at other cultures around the world where they have great social connections, a real sense of community, over in Japan, Okinawa, Sardinia, Costa Rica, there are studies out there that show that these people live to be in their hundreds. They're called the blue zones areas. And it's true. When you have a sense of purpose, give your heart a reason to be, you're going to live a lot longer.
And, these things, for somebody who's sitting there in their office today or listening on their iPhone, maybe in the future as a podcast, they may be saying, I'm in a tough place in my life. Maybe business isn't the way it was supposed to be, or things have been different. Maybe I've gone through a divorce or a death or any of life's challenges. But these things that feed us can literally fall in our lap very, very quickly.
Right, it's true. When you are going through a stressful moment like that in your life, I think it's important to get the right help that you need. I absolutely believe in, contacting a mental health professional to talk about that stressful moment because it does pass and they do help. And if you feel that person isn't helping, then you find somebody else and you just keep going until you find the right person. But, I remember being at a point in my life when I was a young mom. I was traveling on a plane when I was working at MasterCard. It's okay to say that because it's all very true. I was stressed out of my mind. I was in my early 30s and I had a baby. And I couldn't find the support that I needed to manage my stress. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, because I didn't have the right tools in front of me or I didn't have somebody to explain it to me, what is stress management? That's actually number 3. So proper primary diet was number 2, but stress management, not stress reduction, is number 3.
What is the difference?
The difference is doing the breathing exercises, feeling that you're eating the right foods, socially connecting with people. That's going to reduce your stress. Getting on a bicycle and riding down Jupiter Island, which is where you love to ride your bicycle in the morning. Knowing that you've done that for yourself, giving yourself that time, that quiet time, is really going to help. So stress reduction is not looking at your finances and trying to figure out, where you can borrow from Peter to pay Paul. That's not stress reduction.
Understood. Makes perfect sense to me. So, number 4 is every little kid's nightmare.
Right. It's what your mother told you to
time?
eat.
Oh,
not bath time. That's fun.
It's what your mother told you to eat. Take a guess.
Your vegetables.
Exactly.
It wasn't my mother.
Exactly. She knew what she was talking about. Specifically, I can go through a list of vegetables from A to Z that have the greatest nutrient source for you, and some that don't, that are pretty much empty. But broccoli is something that you should incorporate into your diet every single week. Every week.
I can't do it. I'm doing asparagus, though. Instead.
We're back to asparagus from last. For those of you who weren't listening last week, we had an entire section on asparagus and the importance of asparagus. And George, you were talking about, what was the chemical?
Asparagusic acid. It's unique to
I was very
asparagus.
impressed with that, George.
Thank you.
We all were.
It's amazing.
I got A's in science and chemistry and physics. I have to know why something happens, especially something as interesting as that phenomenon. But I'll eat raw broccoli. I will give you that. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I wish my mom had told me is that the vegetables that I considered the yucky vegetables are actually great raw, like spinach or broccoli. I could eat spinach salad every day, all day, every day. But cooked spinach is a nightmare thought to me.
Well, I wanted to talk about something other than kale today because everybody talks about kale. And yes, it is good. It's right up there. But broccoli has something called indoles. And it's basically a chemical that detoxifies your liver. So, and your liver...
I knew that.
...is... it's a strainer in your body. And if your liver is backed up, or if it has fat in it, or if it has things in it that it shouldn't, then your body isn't going to function properly. So that's the reason that broccoli is good for you. And please buy organic whenever possible.
My question to you regarding broccoli is that you said that you should eat it once a week. Now, can you have it more often?
Of course you can. That's one of those things that I would say, go ahead and indulge and do it over and over again. I always say a little too much of the same thing is not good, but with broccoli, you can eat it every night.
And you recommend organic and raw, or?
I recommend eating it at a bright green color. Raw might be hard to eat, especially with broccoli, but steaming it and making it, that bright green color.
What about the frozen broccoli?
Frozen is actually, that's a good question, Mark. Frozen vegetables are actually pretty good in comparison to non-organic. So if you can't get organic, I would say frozen is a good second.
But a frozen organic.
Frozen non-organic. Right. Frozen non-organic.
Well, after our lecture last week, I went out and bought some greens. I bought some of the asparagus. I bought some broccoli. Now, I bought some lettuce. I bought iceberg lettuce. Talk to me a little bit about lettuce.
Oh, iceberg is probably the least nutrient dense. Anything that's green, think about those bright colors. They are protecting you. Anything that is a roughage is going to protect you. We could go on and talk about this in a different show, but these are all vegetables that have anti-cancer properties. So basically, they protect your cells from multiplying. I mean, all of us have cancer cells in our body. It's just a matter of whether or not our immune support system can support, a healthy body. So by that, I mean, our immune system can break down based on, all the three things we just talked about: the stress, the proper diet, which includes, your social circles, doing things for yourself. All those things add to, a person's immune support. So unfortunately, and I'm very comfortable saying this, unfortunately, I think that the Western medicine world has said, if you've got an immune problem, you need to suppress it. And that means shut it down with an antibiotic or a steroid. But I do believe, and I know for a fact, that you shouldn't shut it down, that you need to figure out a way to manage it, and you need to put back into your body what you've lost.
You're talking about bright green, but I've also heard you talk with clients about having lots of colors on your plate.
Definitely. Blueberries are my favorite. They're loaded. It's a great antioxidant. And people hear the word antioxidant over and over again. And I think that there are a lot of people that say, oh, antioxidant, I know what that is. I know what a free radical is. When in fact, a lot of people are confused about those terms.
Well, maybe before we go into break, do you want to explain to folks what a free radical is and what an antioxidant is? And then we'll
sure.
take a break.
I'll start with antioxidant. Oxidation is basically the rusting of your body. So imagine if you never put...
You're right.
Yeah.
I told you I got A's in science.
George
you know
like
words.
The Tin Man.
It's true. So what would happen if we never put oil in our car?
You'd burn out the engine.
Right. So, it's an oxidation. So antioxidant would mean counteracting that, right? Doing the exact opposit. Sure. So that's what antioxidants are for.
Rusting and burning, which are both bad for your body. Your cells are burning from the inside out, and that's how cancer creeps in. Is from the oxidants. That's why antioxidants stave off cancer.
Right.
It's got full of antioxidants. Asparagus.
I see a theme recurring here, don't you?
They actually take an extract from it and use it as a tumor shrinking medicine. It comes from asparagus. I don't know if we mentioned that last time.
I don't know
I don't
if
believe that we did.
But I think that they make an extract for every vegetable out there. which
Except
are
for
also very
iceberg
good.
lettuce.
I can't be
Look,
perfect.
it's a great start, Mark.
Right.
And I think we should applaud Mark for, you know what? Every step is a great step.
Wendy's
It
side
is.
salad is a 50-50 spring mix. Maybe you could step up to that.
So I'm looking at the clock, and we are running up against a hard break. So please stick around. Lori, you have at least 5 more of your tips that you want to share with our listening audience and our viewing audience. Thank you. Just hang in there, everybody. This is Steve Gordon. I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group, and you're listening to CEOmanship on SoFloRadio.com.
More CEOmanship with Steve Gordon next on SoFloRadio.com.
By the Glass.
By the Glass is a show about beverage culture.
Brad Hubbard.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the dots on how everything works together. It's really all about how we enjoy things, how we enjoy life, and how beverages play a big part in that. I'm going to bring in people that are going to display their aspect of the culture. I'm going to bring in people that are going to show you different products. We're going to look at places where people go to consume these beverages and how they all interact. Things are built around the actual beverage itself.
By the Glass. Thursdays from 6 to 7. Only on SoFloRadio.com. Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology, preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
Now, back to CEOmanship with Steve Gordon on SoFloRadio.com.
We are back. My guest this afternoon is Lori Gordon, founder of Simply Lori Gordon, and can be found at Simply Lori, Lori, Gordon.com. Certified holistic health coach, received her degree from the very prestigious Institute of Integrative Nutrition. We've been talking about your 10 top health tips. Oh, wow, I can't believe it. That's going to go in the bloopers.
Tips.
Top health tips for anti-aging, staying young, feeling great for the rest of your life. And we were just talking about oiling our car and antioxidants, and that leads us, I guess, into your next health tip.
To tip number 5, which would be omegas. Everybody talks about omega-3s.
They do, but they never talk about omegas 1 and 2, and I don't know why that is. What's wrong with those omegas? I don't know.
You know what? 3 just... Third?
That's the one. Third
3
time's a
just
charm?
made
Third's
it.
a charm.
Third time's a charm. Let's hope not.
I don't even know anything about those other 2 omegas. They're so unpopular.
But so omega-3s are available in a lot of different forms, and we would have to discuss that. You know, there's flaxseed, there are fish omega-3s. You can get your omegas in a really great supplement. I think it's impossible. In fact, I know it's impossible to eat your way through the proper amount of omegas in your diet. You cannot. When I ask people if they take supplements, we were talking about this earlier today.
Sure.
They say, oh, yes, of course I do. And then I'll say, well, where do you get them and what kind do you take? And for me, it's very simple. I have my regimen in front of me, and it's so simple. I mean, I could really write down the things that you need to take, and we're going to talk about that. But omega-3s are definitely at the top of that list. because that's going to keep you young and smart.
Really?
Yeah. And oiled the way that you should be.
I need to get some individual omega-3s then, on top of just the regular Disney Princess multivitamin gummies that I'm eating.
Don't even say that.
I bought this big jar for my daughter, and I'm like, well, these were good for me too. But I don't think they have as much omega as they ought to.
You have to be really careful with where you buy your omegas, seriously.
I read an article that you may have led me towards the other day on fish oil omega-3s. And the particular company was saying this is the ones that you really should be taking because it has everything in it that you really need. Can you clarify some of that fish oil omega-3 versus omega-3? Please.
I can. I can get very scientific, but I don't want to for this show. But, we're going to talk about looking for the right fish oils, okay? And I'm going to compare it to eating fish for dinner. So as a rule, whenever I go to a local fish market that we have near the water in Jupiter that I found that I love, I pick out the smallest fish. And I ask about where those fish came from. And I know that they're local, and I know that, I know certain things about the water where we live, and I know that it's the furthermost point, I want to say, where the fish are swimming. It's very cold. It's not right in by the shore. So this can get very detailed, but you want to make sure that, A, you're eating fish that are very small because they have lesser amounts of mercury, which have been dumped in the ocean.
Is that because the larger the fish, the more they've been feeding sort of on the food chain?
Absolutely. The larger the fish, the more mercury they have. You want to know where that fish source is coming from. So the company that you're buying your products from should be able to tell you cold water fish versus, just fish oil. What kind of fish oil is it? These companies should break down the types of fish oil in your supplements. And this is one of those things where, the same with a probiotic, which we'll also talk about, you want to make sure that that product isn't rancid, that it has not been sitting on a shelf, that it's moving, that the company is moving those products, that there are a lot of customers buying from that company, and that there's a lot of integrity with that company.
One of the challenges I found in the past with fish oil, if I can say this on air, we're all adults, is that when you take a typical store-bought fish oil, you almost feel like you're burping fish all day. You're tasting it all day.
That's normal with most fish oils. You get that omega-3 burp. That's what it's called.
It's terrible. So what's the solution?
Well, with the company that I order my products from, and you know what, I love this company. I trust this company. I know this company well. And I'm going to say that I have a wonderful lemon lime burp that takes place after I take my omega-3s.
Let me know when it comes up.
I will.
I want to see about that.
You may smell it in the air, but it's delicious. And it just makes me want to take more. And this company has gone as far as to create liquid omega-3s, which we've experimented with in the kitchen at home and put on salad dressing. They've gone as far as to create them, to make it tastier for people to eat. And to give it in different forms as well.
When you say liquid, I think we should explain to the listening audience that it's something you actually take in a tablespoon or a teaspoon, and they've found a way to make it taste great, but to give you all the qualities of the omega-3s that you need.
Right. To give it a mango peach flavor or give it a lime sorbet flavor. It's really amazing because people think that omega-3s are for your midlife, that you should start taking them when you turn 35, 40, 45, 50, whenever you consider midlife to be happening. But the truth is, children need omega-3s and they need multivitamins and not gummy bears, George.
Yeah, George. There have been studies that we've talked about where you've actually said to me that women, even when they're pregnant, should have the proper amount of omega-3s because it helps with brain function and formulation, in utero even.
Well, there's a problem with that, Steve, because doctors will write a prescription for a really good, supposedly, prescription for omega-3s when you're pregnant. But you should be taking them when you're not pregnant. If you're a young girl listening right now, or in college, a college student, or a 13-year-old, you should have omega-3s in your diet right now, because that's going to help your baby to, form everything that it needs to form in that 9 or 10 months that you're pregnant.
Well, and as we get older, actually studies have shown that children who have young children have the proper amount of omega-3s actually learn better, study better.
And can focus better. I mean, rather than, going to the doctor and telling the doctor, I don't know what's wrong with my child, he's bouncing all over the place. First of all, maybe take some sugar out of their diet, but give them the omega-3s that they need, the proper omega-3s. Do the research on the company that you're buying that product from. And as I love to talk about the company that we buy our products from, you can call us or get on the website and send me an email at Lori@simplylorigordon.com, and I'd be happy to share with you more information on this company. I don't know that I have the authority right now or the ability to talk about this company on the air.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit, because George, you just turned 50.
I did.
And so I am also 50, or over 50, I should say. George is there. Mark, you're getting there.
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually. Laura, you're not quite there.
Oh, Steve.
But
I just had a 50th birthday as
know,
well.
I know you did. I was trying
so
to.
Congratulations.
I'm doubling up on my omegas.
So let's talk about why. So tell me, why are omegas very important for those of us in our 50s and moving into our 60s and 70s and 80s and beyond?
So an example is, you run into a room. You're 50 years old. You run upstairs to get something. You get there and you have this blank stare.
This blank stare.
You look around the room and you wonder,
why am I here?
What am I doing here?
What was I supposed to get?
I forgot. I know I came up for something.
That never happens.
You got to go
me.
back to where you started and recapture the memory. And
Maybe that's because you're taking those things that she can't mention.
I every day.
That's not a senior moment. That's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. It might be normal. The aging process, is normal, but you can feel better. And I've done so much research. I know that, you can live to be 100 years old. People are living to be 100. Research shows it. You just have to take care of your body.
I know we have a lot to cover, but on the topic of omega-3s, I believe there have been some studies now showing that there may be links between the right amount of omega-3 and maybe staving off things like Alzheimer's and dementia. I don't know that we're in a position, because we're not medical doctors or scientists, but as a professional in your industry, have you heard about this?
Well, let me just say that omega-3s are not going to hurt. They're going to make your life better. They're going to help you with your joints. They're going to help you with your, your movements. They're going to help you with your brain development and keeping your brain spry as you grow older. I believe in taking omega-3s, and I know that there are many people in this world that do. There's a lot of science out there that supports it, and I think that, everybody needs to take an omega-3 in their diet. A good one.
So, moving beyond omega-3s, what's your next tip?
Social connections. Social connections is number 6, and we touched on it earlier when we talked about primary food. And your primary food is just that. It's the social connections around you. It's, your love life. It's your friends. It's family. It's exercising. It's getting out there. So there are places around the world where people are living to be 100 and above. And it's very common that they all have a sense of community. And they all have a sense of purpose. And earlier in the show, I think I said, give your heart a reason to beat. When you give your heart a reason to beat, you're going to live longer.
Well, we talk about this on a personal level.
We do. We do.
I lost my mom 3.5 years ago.
Right.
And my parents were married for over 50 years, loved each other. My dad took care of my mother while she was sick and was there every step of the way. And after she passed, we would call Dad and he would say, "Oh, I'm not eating. I didn't sleep. I'm a little depressed. I'm not well." And then he met a friend.
Right. Well, not exactly, immediately. There was a year or so in between, and he's lucky to live in a community where he has a lot of social connections and a lot of friends. But he met somebody who made him feel loved again. and he has a sense of purpose. He wakes up in the morning and he goes down in his little golf cart and he gets Armani, which is the name of the dog. Armani is absolutely adorable. And he brings Armani for a ride in his golf cart, and he knows he has to do that every morning.
So
he gets out there. Yeah. And the person that is his significant other today is wonderful to him. And we see a whole new Richard
crazy.
Gordon.
Yeah, he's bouncing around. But even if it's not that, look at your parents too, right? Your dad is 80, your mom's a little younger.
Right.
Mom goes to the theater all the time, loves to stay up, on her iPad, reading about financial, listening, learning, even in their 70s going towards 80. Dad loves to be busy, knows everybody, very social, goes to the Yankee games all the time.
Right. They don't hesitate when they speak.
Right.
They do not hesitate. They're not at a loss for words. They're on top of all of their children, their children's families, the grandchildren. They're making sure that, everything keeps flowing the way it's supposed to. And I think that that's really important. But they do have a sense of community as well.
Well, keeping busy, keeping active, is good for everybody. You said there was a point where we had a lot going on in our life, and I know it's a little bit personal, but right after we got married, our oldest went away to college, and we built up this wonderful event in our life, and we were now in this big home, the two of us, and you looked at me and you said, now what?
Right. Now what? It's all over. There is something that I just want to mention as a sidebar, because I had taken some notes on this, and I think that it's also near and dear to my heart. Being a busy young mom, I was always looking for ways to find support. And I remember reading Working Mother magazine back then. There was an article called The Juggling Act, and it was something that, I kept with me whenever I was traveling on a plane or wherever I was going to and from. But I was a bit of a martyr back then, and I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to keep myself happy and to find joy. I never exercised. I was running home and had to cook dinner every night and had to find time to make sure that I did everything as according to plan every single night and couldn't miss. I couldn't spend a half hour on myself. And if I did, it was probably, a drive-through to get something for myself that might have been a guilty pleasure. But the point that I want to make is this. I think that, your children will see that you're happy based on your social connections. And if you show them that you're connected and that you're living life and you have goals and, you're mission driven, they're going to be that way. But if you show them that you're a martyr and you show them that you're not taking time for yourself, guess what's going to happen?
They're going to do that too.
They are.
They'll match and model. It's interesting because our oldest lives here in Florida, not far from us. And I would say even at the age of 21, she still takes her cues from us and from you. When she sees that you're happy and you're engaged and you're doing things, she feels it.
She loves listening to all the things that we do, and we do a lot. She knows that we're busy, and she gets excited for us. I think that you have brought so much joy to her life, from meeting you to the wedding at our Melaleuca conference in Hawaii in 2012 to all the things that we've done in between. We set goals and we make them happen. And I think that that's the only way to be, and that's how to be a great role model for your child.
And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about us, but I think one of the things that she also sees is that we take a lot of time out. We work really hard. We travel, we're involved in projects, but we also say, okay, that's it. Cell phones down. We're taking the dogs for a walk. We're going to the beach. Come with us. We'll make a picnic. We'll sit outside. We'll have a barbecue. Whatever it is, we make time for ourselves to just stop. Even last night, we were thinking about going out somewhere, and we said to each other, you know what? No, I'm traveling again.
Right.
And you've got another client we've got to write a proposal
tomorrow
for.
Is tomorrow. It's Monday. We hit the ground running. We've got a lot of things to accomplish this week. We have a very big event going on Thursday.
We do.
So we knew that we needed to know our limits, and that's something that's very important. You need to know your limits.
Yeah, you say that to me all the time.
I do. So, all right.
Where do we go from here?
Shall we move on? Let's move on to number 7.
And what is number 7?
Number 7 is a topic that I started to research several years ago when I became interested in the aging process. I guess as I was getting to the age that I'm at right now, I started questioning what was going to go wrong and if I could reverse it. So I came across this topic the topic of telomeres.
Telomeres. What are telomeres?
Okay.
Do tell.
So, telomeres are it's your DNA basically, and so at the end of your DNA are these chromosomes, and they can either look like a shoelace that has plastic wrapped around it, which is what your shoelaces look like when you get a brand new pair of sneakers, right? Mm-hmm. Or they can be shredded and shorter. So what happens with your telomeres are they break down, but they can be repaired. And there is a lot of research out there on telomeres and things that you can do to repair and even lengthen your telomeres. But there's something called a telomere age.
Can I just ask a question because I don't understand. So this telomere, this little tip at the end of your DNA, by fraying, what happens? What's going on?
Well, you're aging, you're oxidizing, you're rusting. You're not putting in your body what you need.
That doesn't sound really fun.
It's not, but it's another way to measure, and you can actually get your telomeres measured at an alternative medicine or integrative center. It's sort of like getting your blood tested if you want to pay for that. I think it runs about $400 here in Florida.
So by lengthening your telomeres, you're saying you're slowing down, in essence, the aging process?
Absolutely. And there is research on this, and you can, buy books on this. There are specific doctors that are known for coming up with, a process where you can lengthen your telomeres. But it's important to discuss the rate of aging, which is what we originally wanted to talk about. And telomeres can measure that. So I would encourage everybody to look up telomeres. It's really, really fun to read about.
It sounds pretty intriguing, actually. And I am going to go home and read about this, or I'm going to ask you about it on the ride home. Because I want to slow down my rate of aging. So, number 8 is supplements. Now, I meet people all the time, and they say, well, Steve, I take a vitamin. I go to that corner drugstore, the big box store, and I buy that brand that advertises on TV all the time, that has all the letters of the alphabet in it. And, what do you think about that?
I stay away from big brands when it comes to putting anything in my body or on my body.
And why is that?
And I do that because I feel that they lose a sense of integrity. I feel that they lose control once they become a big brand. And also, when you're a big brand and you're a public brand, you're held hostage by shareholders. And I know that for me, it's better for me to get my products or anything that I'm going to put on my body or in my body from a privately held company that I know is still true to their integrity.
I remember you came home the other day from a store.
I did.
And you had a conversation with one of the clerks who worked at the store, and you were talking about which brand to buy on a particular product. And her comment was something to the effect that every brand was already a nationally owned brand now.
Bought by a much larger company, and I was so disappointed to hear that. It was actually prior to my surgery. I'm embarrassed to say that I ran out of my probiotic, and I knew that my doctor was going to prescribe an antibiotic, and I was afraid. I was afraid to take it because I knew that it would wreak havoc on my immune system. And so, the antibiotic takes away all the good. And the antibiotic is they're like little Pac-Man. They don't know the difference between good and bad, flora in your body or bacteria.
That's true. It's a kind of poison. You're poisoning the bacteria, but it's a poison nonetheless.
Right, it is. And I compare it to a chemo, but that's my personal opinion. It destroys the good and the bad. So what do you do to counteract that if you're going to have surgery? Or even if you have a cold or you would not take an antibiotic for a cold, but if your doctor prescribes an antibiotic for whatever the reason, you need to counteract it with a probiotic. And I think that this is important for families to know, especially with children. Antibiotics are overprescribed these days, and it's really important to take a good probiotic. Again, this is something that goes from hot to cold in transit, has a shelf life, it has live cultures, it's an antibiotic that you can eat, might be a yogurt or a kefir. And you can find that in the grocery store. But when you take a good probiotic, it's going to keep you healthy.
Well, you were just telling my father just last night on the telephone. He said he wasn't feeling well.
Well, he gets, he's had viruses a little bit more often than I would like to see, and more often than I think that, we want to see.
Of course.
And I was concerned that he was not putting enough good flora in his body.
So what about then a multivitamin? I started to ask you that before. How do you feel about multivitamins?
I know that with a good multivitamin, you're going to get your A. You're going to get a good supply of B, B6s, B12, Cs, Ds, Es, essential minerals, iodine in there. Read the labels of the products that you're buying. Know who's manufacturing it, know what the expiration dates are, know exactly how to locate expiration dates. I look at expiration dates on everything in the supermarket. Iodine, magnesium, zinc, copper, manganese, chromium. I could tell you a story about every single one of those, but we don't have time today. But just know your multivitamin and take one. Don't forget to not take it. It's the most important part of your day.
And I think it's really important, too, that you know that those minerals that you're taking are absorbed into your body, not
exactly.
just passing through. And
exactly.
I know you have a story for that. And if somebody wanted to learn a little bit more about some of the vitamins you recommend to your clients, again, they can reach you at Lori at simply Lori, Lori, Gordon.com. So that brings us to number 10.
Oh.
Which could have been number 2.
Number 10 is my favorite subject of all. It's fiber. So let's talk fiber, Steve.
Let's talk fiber.
Okay. Well, I talk very candidly with my clients about their lifestyle. And one of the things that you hear over and over these days is a term called leaky gut. And everybody thinks they have leaky gut. They have problems with their intestines. And we hear this over and over again. It's sort of a term that I think is misused. People think they have it. It's like acid reflux was 10 years ago.
So what is leaky gut, and how does that have to do with fiber?
Well, leaky gut is basically, to summarize it, is when you have too much bad bacteria in your stomach and in your intestines and your body isn't functioning properly. So the way that you take care of that is by keeping it all moving correctly and removing all of the toxins that come out of your body.
So you take a good source of fiber, which, I meet a lot of people, and so do you, that say, oh, well, I get all the fiber I need in my food.
Right. Or they use a fiber product that might be made by one of those larger companies that I mentioned, and they're not really getting a good fiber. I mean, I've heard horror stories just being in this industry of companies that we thought were privately held and then went to partner up with, a public company for marketing purposes. And the product that I take, I love. It's just an amazing product. Not only does it remove all of the toxins like a street sweeper going through your colon, but it also takes out cholesterol. And when you have a cholesterol problem, and you have a product that removes cholesterol as well, I mean, it's a bonus.
Well, I first of all, George, I'm very proud of you for not making any comments about the street sweeper and your colon.
I'm very serious about my colon.
Well, you know what? We should, because when the truth of the matter is, when you wake up and you are clean
and you feel lighter,
you have a good day,
and you don't feel toxic, you feel great.
And it's all just sludge sitting in your body.
You don't realize that, right? It slows you down. What does sludge do?
It slows you down. Lori, I know that a lot of corporations are at the budget stage right now. They're planning for 2015, and they're planning a lot of things. They'll talk about stress management, yoga, retreats. You've had several companies come to you lately and say, could you come talk to our key management? Can you come talk to our employees about their health so that they can perform at their maximum level? So again, somebody could visit you and hit the contact button on simply Lori Gordon, LoriGordon.com. So thank you for being an amazing guest, informing us just beyond belief on all these topics, and I know that our audience is going to want you back again and again and again, so I hope you keep coming back.
Well, you're welcome. Time. I enjoyed sharing my
information.
Especially
if you bring those bars, speaking of fiber. I'm feeling better already.
Nuts and seeds.
There you go. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, George. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lori. And
thank you.
Thank you for everyone listening today. This is Steve Gordon. I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group. Again, on Facebook, it's Gordon Partnership. Instagram, Gordon Partnership. Find us on the iTunes podcast library. Look up CEOmanship, and you can see today's show and all of our past shows at CEOmanship.com or GordonPartnership.com. Everybody, we'll see you and talk to you next week, next Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern on SoFloRadio.com.